Welcome back to the Juanito Shit channel, everyone. You are watching the follow-up video to Pokemon X and Y starter observation, speculation, and discussion. But in this video, we're not here to speculate about the starters because we just did that in the previous video. In this video, it's all about the legendaries. So instead of taking up 2 minutes of your time rambling about how I just got into the 4th generation and I'm not in the 5th generation yet, let's get down to it. Let's talk some legendaries. Let's talk Yveltal and Xerneas, the legendaries from Pokemon X and Y. So this time around, we're going to follow the title of the video a bit more closely than we did in the previous video. First off, the part of observation. So I say that we begin first off, since Pokemon X and Y were first announced through Nintendo Direct, I've observed that the legendaries from the trailer have both been warmly received and accepted globally by the fans of Pokemon. There's a person here and there that complains that they don't like the design or that they think they don't look as cool as previous legendaries, and of course that's fine, but for the most part they've been accepted by the majority of the fans. Which of course is more than one can say for the 3 new starters, because the starters are always a topic of controversy among us Pokemon fans. They're never fully accepted when they're first introduced. It takes some time for details about them to start leaking in, and for the fans to actually get the games when they are eventually released, for them to be fully accepted. But that's not the case of the legendaries. Yveltal and Xerneas really seem to have caught on with the fans, which is of course a great thing. And so I've decided to follow the alphabet's order, and I say we start with Xerneas, the legendary of Pokemon X version. So thinking back to the first few times that I watched the trailer for Pokemon X and Y, I remember I was analyzing the design of Xerneas as a legendary, and I remember thinking, well, Xerneas looks like two things at the same time. It looks both like a badass since it's a legendary Pokemon, and it also looks kind of cute. I mean, you look at its base form, and obviously it's based on the design of a real-life deer that you'd see out there in the nature, but it has a blue body and it has these huge antlers that have a lot of the colors of the light spectrum on it, as well as black legs that look like swords. And I remember that after I took the time to watch that trailer a couple of times, I remember just sitting right there in my chair for a minute or two and letting it all sink in, and then a big ass smile spread on my face, and then I decided to check out the comment section and see what everybody else was thinking and saying about the new legendaries, and I saw that people were thinking the same kind of things that I was. And of course that's fantastic, because as a Pokemon fan you love it when other people agree with and have the same opinions that you do on a certain Pokemon topic. So basically people were saying what I just said a few moments ago. Everything from Xerneas is a badass, look at those giant rainbow antlers with all the colors of the light spectrum, and Xerneas has giant black swords for legs, that is kick-ass. Xerneas is a badass legendary, and of course, I was thinking those things as well, so it was great. It was great. But of course it would be unfair of me to not mention those people that are not satisfied with Xerneas as a legendary Pokemon. I've seen these people say that Xerneas does not look like a legendary Pokemon design-wise. They say that he looks too simple to be a Pokemon of that caliber. And of course it's not mindless bashing in the part of these fans. I actually had to agree with them to an extent. Design-wise, Xerneas doesn't look all that complicated, but yet again, you look into the past of Pokemon and legendaries such as Mewtwo and Mew and Celebi, and you have to realize that legendaries don't have to look big and tough or any sort of complicated to be effective in their caliber. So in spite of its simple design, I think that Xerneas' design is an elegant design that works and is befitting of a legendary Pokemon, despite the fact that of course Xerneas does not resemble the letter X like Yveltal resembles the letter Y, which of course makes it clear which version that Pokemon is in. Outside of talking Pokemon design though, there's the rumor and the speculation as to just what type of Pokemon Xerneas will be. There's been rumors that Game Freak will introduce new types of Pokemon to this 6th generation, starting of course with the legendaries, and this could possibly lead to Xerneas turning out to be a light type Pokemon, which in my personal opinion would be great. And I think this because since the 2nd generation there have been 17 types of Pokemon, and of course that's always been great, but adding at least 2 new types would add to the Pokemon world and make it a little more diverse, not to mention that it would add a little more to the gameplay in the Pokemon games. However, of course that's just me personally. You're welcome to disagree with me if you want. But that's about it for Xerneas. There's not much more to say. We've already talked design. We talked about what type it could possibly be. And of course, you're welcome to leave your opinion on Xerneas in the comment section below. But it's now time to move to Yveltal, the legendary Pokemon for Y version. And just as it was mentioned earlier in the video, just like Xerneas, Yveltal has also been warmly accepted from what I've seen by the Pokemon fans as a legendary Pokemon. And I like Yveltal's design a bit more than I like Xerneas's. I remember that since the first time I saw Yveltal on that trailer, I remember that I thought of how awesome his design looked, at least to me. I love everything from its red body color to the black body parts that it has to its big ass wings to the bright blue colors that it has in its eyes. It just looks like a badass Pokemon. And because of this, I find myself thinking that Yveltal would be the result of Game Freak grabbing Lugia and completely altering his color scheme to make him look like a dark, evil kind of Pokemon. And of course, if Game Freak were to add at least 2 new types of Pokemon in this generation, I'm thinking that since Xerneas would be the light type legendary, Yveltal of course naturally would be the contrast and would turn out to be a shadow type of Pokemon. Which of course I think would be a reasonable way to see things, and if Game Freak does not introduce new types in this 6th generation, I think that Yveltal would be perhaps a dark and fire type Pokemon, judging of course by its color scheme and appearance. But of course, if you disagree and think something different, you're welcome of course to share that in the comment section below. Anyway everyone, that just about wraps it up for this video about the legendaries of Pokemon X and Y. Leave your feedback if you can. I'd really love to hear what you guys think about the legendaries and what could come out of the games in the future. And of course, I can tell you that I will make a new video about Pokemon X and Y when more details about the games are eventually released by Nintendo and Game Freak. And of course, as always, Juanito Shit thanks you for your time and for watching this video, and I hope to see you here in the next Pokemon video. Thank you for watching.